I should have wore green. And I had on a green shirt early enough for work because we had a work meeting and we had to wear green and white. I should have kept it on. And so, but listen, I just felt like keeping it real today, right? Keep it real,
I'm
church.
representing for both of us. Don't worry. I have about that.
I am your host, Marcia Baker. I'm an evangelist in the kingdom and I have a doctoral credentials. And we are here on Prayer for Marriages today. Myself, along with Evangelist Nikki, my co-host, my partner in helping us to be successful in our relationships, in our married relationship. Listen, I'm just amazed at what God is doing with both of us and in both of us, just giving us the knowledge and the expertise to help persons out that are dealing with different situation, and like each topic, I know for me, I can't say for evangelists because I've learned and we've learned that we can't speak for other people. So we're speaking for ourselves. Some of these topics have helped me personally because you have to walk out what you teach, right? And what you go through. So it has really helped me. Now I'm an advocate for family first. Husband and wife first, children. God is definitely first. He's the head of all of our lives. But when it comes to outside stuff, we have to put family first. And even sometimes when I say, your spouse is before your parents and your children, people look at me crazy like, what? Yes, they are. Listen, we've been taught so wrong for many years, like, that our families first and your spouse, because we label it as you can always get another spouse, but you only get one mother, one father. Listen, that's the issue, right? The bad teaching, the erroneous teaching that has caused a lot of mayhem in a lot of families. And so we're trying just to debunk that. And so not only do we think that persons think that they should put family first, but persons think that they should put church duties first. Now, you notice we've been saying for the past couple of weeks, church duties, not God, but church duties. All right. So that's just a little bit about what we're going to talk about on tonight. I just want Evangelist to come in and greet us and, do what she do. All right, Evangelist.
Greetings, greetings, greetings. Yes, I'm representing for both of us. St. Patty's Day. Some call it St. Patty's Day, St. Patrick Day, however you pronounce it, celebrated today. We love green because we love nature, right?
Money green.
So
And,
we're
and that's money green too.
I was waiting for it. I thought it was just me. I'm just waiting for it, honey. Money green, honey. So we love that. So it's good to be back. Good to be back. Appreciate y'all tuning in. Appreciate y'all streaming. Appreciate your listening here because we don't take it lightly. I know you could be elsewhere. Your time is very valuable because we're big on that. We respect your time and we want whenever you come in, there is something we're imparting that it will help your life be better. We don't have it all figured out. And this time we might not get it right and we need y'all help. And we empowered you and encourage you to help. Give us your feedback. We want to hear from you. Let us know what we're doing. Let us know topics you want us to delve in on or something we said that was not clear. You think you need more clarity. Listen, we're here to help us, but we want to be able to elevate you as we elevate ourselves, but we need your input to go further because one can walk, what they said, the saying is one can walk a long way, but when you're walking together, you get further.
You get
Here
further.
together. So we need your input to help us get further in this ministry and to grow this ministry. So we do appreciate you. Like, subscribe, share with a friend, invite a friend, send it to a friend. Let them know help is out there. It's not far away. It's only a click away. It is right on the phone that you glue to, right? It is right. Your help is there. So as Evangelist alluded to, we're still on we're continuing part 2 this week of are you putting church duties above your spouse or your family, your relationship, right? Mm-hmm. What comes first? Is it church duties? Like we said, don't misunderstood if you just tune in and go back and catch a replay. God is the head of all our lives. There is no in between. There is no doubt for us as believers. God is the head. He is the center of our life. But in this earthly realm, if you do desire a spouse and you are married, your spouse is the head of that household, right? He is the priest of that household, right? So we wanted to be able to understand the difference in putting church duties over our household, which is the first ministry, right? How are
Mhm.
you doing in that? Those who tuned in before, what was an eye opener for you? What have you learned? What have you doing different? We need to hear from you. Chime in, send us your comments if you're on Facebook, if you're on YouTube, and you can always email us at Marcia Baker's ministry at gmail.com. Email us. We want to hear from you guys because this is not about me and Evangelist alone. It's about us building a community of believers who stand for marriage. And before we even delve, because Evangelist is going to kick it off, she said something earlier how we have been taught wrong. And I think a lot of time we take those culture for gospel where we were taught that we put everybody else above our spouse. And if you realize that, and if that's something you think is your gospel, and others that you see choose that as their gospel, what is their fruit? What is the result? 50% of divorces in the church because we were taught wrong. We were taught to put church duties against our first ministry, which is our home, our husband, our children, our family. That's our first ministry. Check it. A lot of people that you know, and you might be that one too, at a broken home because we were over exemplifying ourselves in church, over churchifying ministry without taking care of the first ministry. You know someone, a neighbor, a friend, a family, a loved one, someone close to you that has a divorce, and they will tell you, I didn't put my family first, right? So we wanted to prevent that. We want to prevent that, and that's how we're delving into this topic to give us practical tips that you can utilize right now, right? That you can implement now to be that change you wanted to see. If you are that person putting church duties, cannot say no to church duties, right? We want to help you, ensuring that our home is our first ministry, right, Evangelist? So,
It
Evangelist, have
definitely
some
is.
and we're going to take it from there. And I hope what we're saying tonight, like you said, if you are just tuning in, please understand, we can't stress this enough. We're not saying, when we said church, we're not saying God. Church is the building where we go to worship together. And yes, there is duties that need to be done to upkeep that building the same way you have duties at home to upkeep your home. We are referring to earthly duties, right? That you can outsource, you can delegate, that you are using to destroy your home because you're not taking care of home 1st. That's all.
Listen, someone asked a question. Should you put God, should you put God before your spouse? Definitely, definitely.
God
God
is in
is
front of
first.
everything. The center.
He is the
Center.
center, right? But
We
then
put our
now,
spouse at, then we're making our spouse a idol. Remember
listen, and
that.
then someone asked, should family or church come first? And your family's first. Listen, let me tell y'all something. It amazes me because some of the cultural teachings that I was taught, we were saying, when the pastors were saying put God first, they didn't specify, right? And so a lot of times persons would always feel like, man, if I stay home with my spouse or stay home and do something with my family, God is not included and God is going to be upset. And we were made to feel that way, right? Many persons were made to feel like if you go on vacation and miss a Sunday in church, God forbid, you committed a cardinal sin, right? However, and then your family went lacking. Also, I'm friends with many, many preachers. Listen, and their children. Most of my friends that I grew up with are pre-Ks, right? PKs. and and then all of a sudden now I got a son. So now he's a PK. So I can understand. So family is first. Let me tell you something. And I think I heard TD Jake said it. TD Jake said he was running around the country, the world, right, loosing women, and his daughter became pregnant at a young age. So, not that he's saying he failed, but he's saying maybe if he would have been home, more. So family is first. And I hear a lot of even Bishop Noah Jones said he got divorced because he was put in church preaching engagement before his wife, right? The mother of his children, his wife, not Lady Loretta now. But he even confessed it out of his mouth. Said if he had to do it over again, he would have put his family first. And so we're not telling you something that is incorrect. We're not saying God put your put God out of the portion. We're not talking about God. We're talking about duties. Like say for instance, you have to usher every Sunday. You sing on the choir. You're a minister. You have all these duties at church, but your home goes lacking. And I want to address something tonight about some spouses may be unsaved, whether it's the wife or the husband is involved in church and the other spouse is not, and they're not even part of the kingdom, and you will leave home with unfinished chores, unfinished tasks. And I think I want to say this to the ladies. Ladies, praise the Lord, Lady Shavina. If your husband is not part of the kingdom of God, or maybe your spouse is not part of the mosque, or they're not part of the synagogue, or your spouse is not there with you, right? And they say, you know what, stay home one day. Stay home. It's okay to stay home. Stay home and take care of the need of your spouse, because at the end of the day, your spouse is going to be the one that is going to have to take care of you. I'm going to say that again. Your spouse is going to be the one when you're sick, they're going to be the one to take care of you. Your children, they're going to be the one to take care of you. Now, I'm not going to say that your church family won't help, but when you are in dire strait, your family is first. They're going to be there. So a lot of times we have to put our priorities in order. I know a lot of persons, they say, but it's church and listen, you are the church. And listen, and I know, because I've had some persons to say to me, they'll inbox me and say, but what if my husband don't want me to go to church because church is too long? Find I don't want to say find another church and go to, but you know, go to Sunday school, or just go to the morning worship. Don't go, because Sunday school starts at 9, depending on your church, right? But majority churches start at 9. Sunday school starts at 9, then divine service start at 11. I don't know why Sunday school has to be 2 hours. And divine service start at 11. You don't get out of church till 2:30, 3 o'clock. That's the entire day. You haven't cooked dinner, you haven't done, and you haven't spent any time with your spouse, right? And so now when they say don't go to church, you can't understand why, right? But if you're taking care of your home, if you're cooking before you're going to church, now be reasonable. Now, I'm not saying, I know some men and some women, they're not reasonable, right? So this is where you have the discussion first. And I want to also say, listen, it's okay if when your husband, your spouse do come to church, that's not necessarily part of the church. You don't have to sing on the choir that Sunday. Say, listen, tell the choir leader, say, listen, my husband is coming to church with me today, and I want to sit with him. Don't let him feel like a stranger. He's already uncomfortable going, or she's already uncomfortable going. So allow to talk to leadership and say, listen, my spouse is coming, right? And so I want to sit with them. Family comes before church ministry. Listen, if someone does not know how to manage his own household, how will he care for the church of God? Lord have mercy. Greetings to every one of you that is on Facebook, those of you that are on YouTube. Do us a favor, go ahead and share, like, comment, so we can build our community and we fall in the algorithms, all right? But you have to make sure that you are not putting the duties of the church. Make sure you're not traveling 6 days out the week for ministry. Lord, help us tonight. And then when it's time for your family to go on vacation, or you're tired because you have ministry assignment, you have to make sure you're prioritizing your family, right? Lady Shavina said, that's right, ride in the same car. Yes, don't take your car early because you have to usher or whatever. I'm telling y'all, listen, you will see a change in that spouse. When I tell you, you will see a change in the spouse. Listen, I have a couple right now. They belong to two different religious organizations. He worships on Saturday and she worships on Sunday. Now she wants him to come to church with her on Sunday, but won't go with him on Saturday. I said, go with him. Go. I don't understand the disconnect or the thought process. She said, go, you're not doing anything on Saturday. She said, but I have to cook and clean and wash. Oh, and get
All
up
day.
early, right? Get up early and go with him on a Saturday, and then he won't mind coming with you on Sunday because his argument is Evangelist Nikki, she won't come with him on a Saturday, so he doesn't want to go with her on a Sunday, right? Listen, Lady Michelle Bennett said, yes, I did that when I was just starting out. Felt guilty if I stayed home for not going to church. Don't feel guilty. Do not, because listen, and I want to hit another point before we close out. I want to let you know that when you make your spouse your priority, I think we spoke about this topic. When you make your spouse a priority, trust and believe me, they be like, go to church. Go on.
Not
Oh.
only that, they will feel so honored by you if you
Mhm.
take that one Sunday without argument and say, you know what, babe, you know that's a good idea, right? Plan it
Mhm.
ahead. Call the people if you're in charge of ushering and you know
Mhm.
whatever your duties in, delegate it to someone else, outsource it, let them know ahead of time that this
Mhm.
is the Sunday. And when you do that and honor your spouse, I promise you, you continue to do that, he gonna be like, babe, let's get ready for church.
Yep.
He will get up, he will get ready before you because now he's seen that church is not above him. You
Right.
understand? Or her. Church is
Right.
not above, your spouse because
Right.
it's not gender bias, right?
It's
So when
not.
they feel honored in that situation, trust me, they'll be more motivated to come because now when you put church above them, they feel out of place, like you said, evangelist. That's something, let your pastor know, let whoever is in charge know. And if you're in charge, delegate somebody below and let them know ahead of time and come sit with that your spouse and worship with them together. They will feel a part. They're not gonna feel like they're a stranger. They will want it to come freely. Now you don't have to pump them to come because they're gonna
Right.
say, you know what? I know how important this is to her. And she took the time out without arguing with me to honor me to stay home. And
Mhm.
listen, we have technology nowadays. Every church is online.
Every church is
If
online.
your church is not online, the church is already 50 years behind. If your
Right.
church is not online, they are 80 years behind.
They're behind, behind,
You can
behind.
find on some social media platform to get caught up, right?
Um,
But honor
um,
your
I have a
spouse.
someone have a question. Someone have a question in the chat on Facebook. I think David said, Minister David said, sisters, what do you think about wives in ministry making financial decisions without their spouse? Now listen, right? I remember one time the Lord spoke to my husband to give a significant amount of money. We were in church. They were having convocation. And one thing that I love about my husband is that anything that he's going to do, he comes to me first, right? That's my spouse, right? Because we have established that type of relationship, right? So what I said to him when he came to me, he said, I feel led of the Lord to give X amount of dollars. I said, because I know my husband, right? I know he makes good financial decisions. I said to my husband, babe, if the Lord is speaking to you to give it, who am I to stop it? I said, go ahead. So even though the Lord already spoke to him, he came to me as his wife to say, babe, what do you think I should do? I said, I can't go above God. If God is releasing you to give an amount, give it. And guess what happened? The next day, he got a contract for I don't know how many times that, right? So a lot of times um it is very good to come in agreement with your spouse when you're going to give financially because that can become an issue in your relationship. And I think that's a whole new topic right there. That's a
Mhm.
whole
Yeah.
new topic because it's so much into it, right? Because listen, you don't want to take away from your household, ladies and gentlemen, for ministry unless your spouse agree. Unless the two of you agree. Now, some person would just jump ahead and do and then tell after, but If you have an understanding spouse, they can understand to know well if you're led of the Lord. Like I know my husband. Sometimes he gives money. He said, "Babe, I gave this amount of money," and he'll tell me after. And I'm like, "Good," because guess what? Guess what happened? I see the benefits. I see the harvest of him sowing because I've come in agreement with him. I've never once heard him say he's going to give a certain amount and it did not come back to us. You hear what I said? To us, right? And so sometimes I don't. Sometimes he won't even tell me, and if he gives and he doesn't tell me, but I see the harvest from. So wait a minute, babe. Did you give a certain amount of money? He said, "Yes, I did. I forgot to tell you." Okay, babe, because I'm reaping the harvest, right? Sometimes it's all about communication. You have to communicate everything. Now, if it's going to cause hardship on your spouse, and you say, "Babe, I really want to sow a significant seed," right? Talk to your spouse because you have to come in agreement because it's coming out of your household. Sometimes you may not budget for some stuff, and the Lord laid on your heart, Minister Green, Minister David, to give a certain amount, and you say, "You know what, babe? I was just in the moment. I felt led to give it, and you give it. I want to reap the harvest." So I've learned not if my husband say the Lord laid on me to do, I say go ahead. I have even seen Evangelist Nikki, my husband, take our last food out the house and give it away. And the Lord blessed him within hours with more food than what we had. So because I know the man of God that I'm married to, so you have to know your spouse. I know the man of God that I'm married to, and I know his heart, and I know he's not going to do anything to jeopardize anything in our household. If he want to make that decision, I make that decision, right? My
But to that point, evangelist, like
hmm
you said, it's not a one size fit all. Again, you have to understand, you have to understand when you guys are making decisions. So it's not
right
only going to be
together.
in the ministry. You guys are used to making decision. That is the order of your household,
Yes,
where others might not have that order. You
right.
know what I mean? So if the person is making decision in ministry or giving, like, the question is said is, if your wife in ministry give it without the other spouse consent.
Hmm.
Trust and believe that's not the only places they're given without their spouse consent, because if it was, they would have already had that conversation. If it's a standard in
Hmm.
that household, that
Hmm.
when we give, we come in agreement, we talk
Hmm.
about it. You might not agree on your understand, but this is what the Lord led. And you're
Right.
gonna say, okay, babe, I trust you. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Do
Hmm.
what the
Hmm.
Lord said. But if you're not used to making financial decisions together in the household,
Right.
about the simplest thing in the
Hmm.
household,
Hmm.
it's not going to change when it comes on to giving in the
That is
ministry. So
true.
now you're going to want the standard to set only when they give it in ministry. But what about
Right.
the standard when they're making
Right.
other financial decisions in the house?
Right.
What is that agreement? And I mean, God, we have grown. We make decisions when we just get in a relationship. When
Hmm.
we get seasoned in, people
Hmm.
mature, people change, right? So you have to revisit. If that's something that you're not comfortable without the person speaking to you, guess what?
Hmm.
You have to go back to each other, have that conversation, because I trust if it happened once, it
It's
happened more
gonna
than
happen
once.
again. Yes.
I mean, if
Yes.
you only see it once, it's not just something that just
No.
happening.
No.
And then if it makes you feel uncomfortable, don't come at them in a way where you're attacking them. And especially if they're working and you're working, you don't want them to, well, it's my money. Because I
Right.
mean, the pride will kick in even though we married. Y'all know
Right.
how that goes.
Right.
His
Right.
money is our money, and our
Yeah.
money is our money, right? I mean, that's the law. Man,
Yep.
the husband money is our money.
Hmm.
The wife money is
Is her
her
money.
money. That's the law, man. I know y'all don't like me for that, but that's
Listen,
the law.
listen. Reverend
So
Dr. Carl Brown says he said, "Rev, but even just the principle of letting your spouse know, just the principle of letting them know, and like Evangelist Nikki says, if
if
you're not used to making all decisions together,
financial this together, yes.
listen. And it's not just about finances.
It's
It's
not
about
just going to be
anything.
right.
It's
Mm-hmm.
about anything, right? Finances may be highlighted because it's an impact, like
Right.
Reverend Brown said. It could make an impact. It
Yes.
affect the finances of the home. Like if you take
Yes.
from the mortgage to give, I don't think that's a wise idea.
No, God not gonna
Unless your
give you.
faith is way up
No,
here,
y'all don't get me
but
on that now. Don't get me out on that now, because
You
you
know,
gotta use wisdom.
you got to
If
use
it's not,
wisdom in
God's
giving.
not gonna tell you after God. Listen, God is not a, it doesn't work in confusion.
No,
Okay, where people will tell you it's your last, give it, and God, if God already
that's
gave
foolish.
you the money you
That's
need to sustain
emotional
your
giving.
household, He's not gonna tell you to
Mm-mm.
burn on your household with what He already gave
No.
you. That's just my take on
And,
it.
and, and,
Somebody
let,
else might be different.
and let me say this also, right? Don't give out of emotions, right?
Right,
Don't,
right. That's
don't,
not of God. That's of self.
no, that's of self. Don't give out of
If the preacher
emotion.
have to force you to give, you should already come with a willing heart to give. When I go to church,
Free
I
will.
already have a willing heart. This is the budget. This is what God laid on me to give. Whether they ask me or don't ask me, because some people go to church, if they don't ask for offering or tithes, they're not gonna give
Right,
it. Me,
right,
whether they ask or not, I already have a mindset. When I get in the house of the Lord, I always have to have something to give.
right.
That's just me. I just
Mm-hmm.
have to be prompt to give, and
Yes,
then they give
yes.
out the guilt and other emotion. And now it become a problem because now you're going to your spouse. I don't have no gas for the car. I don't have no lunch money. And it's like, well, what happened to the money? Well, pastor said I have to sow. So now that's going to become a problem.
That's going to become
Pastor
a
said I
problem.
need to give it. You see what I'm saying? So
And
you
and
have
and
to use
then
wisdom.
when you say pastor said, then now your spouse get upset.
Feel disrespected.
Your spouse feel
You know,
disrespected. So this is why you have to make decisions together, right?
together.
And like I was saying, don't give out of your emotion. Don't feel manipulated to give. Don't let
Yes, that's it.
nobody manipulate it.
Manipulate.
Oh, for your breakthrough, sow $1,000. No, you got to be in alignment with the word of God.
Alignment.
You can give $1 million. If your heart is not right, if your mind is not made up, you just gave that person $1 million because situation is not going to change, and especially that amount of money, and you didn't come in agreement with your spouse because you want to reap the harvest. You're causing dissension in your house, and you don't want that. And
Mhm.
like Evangelist Nikki said, God is not the author of confusion, so we're going to prioritize, you know, not to put church duties over our spouse, right? And so when you make all the decisions together, I'm talking about down to what you're gonna eat, down to what you what do you think I need to wear this color tie? Do you need to think I need to wear this? How you think I should put what color hat you should wear? Even sometimes, listen, on Saturday nights when my husband is getting ready, he come out, he said, babe, what color tie should I put with this? Down
Teamwork.
down to the color
Staying in the
tie that he
know.
wanted to choose, right? So in everything, and when I get dressed, I'm like, babe, how do I look? You think this look good? So it's not just about money; it's about everything. When you prioritize your spouse and not put church duties over them, I'm telling you, they feel special. Let me tell you something. I'm teaching, and I have this young lady that I'm helping her to become a better wife because sometimes they're not taught and they don't know. And the little things that I have her implementing in her relationship, she's like, oh my God. It's simple things. It's just simple things as just saying, like Evangelist Nikki would say, oh my God, babe, you made a good meal. That was so good. I appreciate it. Let me tell you something. Let us normalize putting our spouse before church. And if and ladies and gentlemen, if your spouse is not part of your religious affiliation and they say stay home with me, if they're having a week of meeting, like I know most of our churches now are having a week of meeting or
Yeah, because
days
we're in
of
the lands.
meeting, you have to make sure that your spouse knows, right? Let them give them the schedule. Let me tell you something. Yesterday I had made up in my mind that I'm going on fasting this week. Then when we got to church yesterday, Apostle said, he feels fasting in his spirit. And then
Mm-hmm.
I didn't
3
tell my
days.
husband, I didn't tell my husband that I was going to go on fasting because I didn't say to him yet. I was waiting till the evening we got home. So in the car, I was like, wow, baby, isn't that something that Apostle called fasting? And guess what my husband said? I'm fasting already today. So why you didn't tell me, right? I said, because I'm going on fasting. So it was already in both of our spirits, right? So you see that? When you're on one accord, the Lord is going to put the fasting in your spirits together. You see that? See how that works? And then now Apostle called for the fast. So it wasn't a chore for us to say, oh man, Apostle called a fast last minute. No, we were already on the mindset to fast. You see what I'm saying? And I think Lady Shavina had mentioned that a few weeks ago. If your spouse don't understand fasting, listen, like now is the season of Ramadan and Lent, right? And a lot of religious organizations are fasting. Your spouse, you have to come in agreement with the fast. You have to come in agreement. They have to learn what is the purpose of the fast. Because even Jesus asked, is this the fast that I have chosen to lose the band of wickedness? You got to make sure it's God ordained, right? And so a lot of times we make decisions by ourselves like we're single.
Right.
Now, when you're
That
single,
part.
when you're
That part.
single, you can make all the decisions that
Yeah.
you want
Yeah.
because you ain't got to worry about a spouse. But when you are married, or if you're in a relationship with someone, because I know this podcast is not just reaching religious people. I know there's some persons who are living together who still have want to come into agreement, right? So you've got to make sure, but even though this is a program, we're talking about marriage, right? And so, but I don't want to leave anybody out. You got to make decisions, conscious decisions together, not by yourself, right? So while I'm not in agreement for you to just take your money from the household and give it, you have to ask your spouse. You
You
have to
have to
ask
have
your
that
spouse.
conversation. You
Yes.
have to. And not to, and if it happened, like you said, in the heat of the moment, you still have to revisit and talk to your
You're
spouse.
still
And
right.
if your spouse have to come to you about it, you automatically be on the defense.
Right. That
You're
is
gonna be
true.
on the defense,
Yes.
right? You're
Yes.
gonna have your walled up, and now you're gonna be like you're questioning me, and all of
Right.
those things. Because
Right.
that's the room for the enemy to cause division. Because financial
Right.
is one of the bigger issue. It's one of the
Right.
top five that lead to divorce, right?
Mm-hmm.
So to prevent those type of hard conversation that we don't want to have, be
Be
intentional,
intentional.
proactively letting your spouse know,
Mm-hmm.
okay, babe, this is what happened today, and this is how I was led to do it,
Right.
and then the person can say, next time before you make those decisions, can you at least let's have a
Yeah,
conversation
just let
about
me
it?
know.
Because
Yeah.
even though they said so it today, we could talk about it, you could do it tomorrow, you could do it the
Mm-hmm.
next day.
Yep.
I mean, let's have that conversation. And you have to know where you are together in your financial relationship. Because a lot of time in relationship, but we're not in financial relationship with each other.
Right.
Our finances over here, that finance is over there.
Mm-hmm.
Until the money looking funny now, every penny start now become magnified.
Yes,
And then
that's
like
true.
you're tripping,
Mm-hmm.
you're causing argument over nothing. We never did it this way. Well,
Right.
things change now. So now we have to come together and we
Mm-hmm.
have to discuss it. It's not saying you can't do this. I'm not telling you what you can and cannot
Right.
do. Right? You got to let your spouse know that, but I would like to be in the know so
Yeah.
we can come in agreement. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So I don't feel left out of it because then your spouse now might end up now tap on the shoulder to give a seed, right? Then somebody already messaged you, can you give a seed, right? And now you're not excited to go talk to your spouse. Hey, babe, I'm empowered to do this. I want us to come in agreement to give this seed. And you're supposed to like, what seed? I already gave it.
Right. Right.
I already
You have
gave
to
it.
come
You
in
see what I'm saying?
agreement.
I already gave it on behalf of our household. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Then that will lead to division.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of nuances to it, and we don't have enough time to delve in. But I think that's a good point there, and it's something that we can take up as a topic as well,
Yeah.
because it happened more often than we can imagine,
Yeah,
where
it
it
does.
caused a lot of problem on the way home from church. They're huffing and they're puffing, and we don't want that. We
No.
want you to have those conversations ahead of time
Ahead of
with the
time.
finances, not just giving in church, but you're giving in general. What is your petty cash looking like? What is our giving bucket look like? Because I believe you have your 50% to take your everyday thing. You have your 30% for other expenditure or long-term stuff, and then you have your 20% for gift giving and your petty cash.
Mm-hmm.
If there's different level to break down
And
your
guess what? Some
finances.
people may not have petty cash.
Well, that part.
Some people may not have petty cash.
That's why we have to have the conversation
You
to
got to
know
have the
where we,
conversation. But I want to
because
say,
one might be assuming that we have it because they're expecting a bonus or tax
Mm-hmm.
return or whatever they're
Mm-hmm.
expecting coming up, but don't know that the other spouse already have planned for that money.
Right.
But what
Right.
happened? We're not in
Right.
agreement because we're not communicating. So it's all start with communication. It's not
Yes.
just going to be, I promise you, if that only happened when you see them giving in church without your consent, there's other areas, there's other opportunity that you might miss
Mm-hmm.
because you're not present to see when they're actually doing that
Doing
giving.
it. Yeah.
Table and have those hard conversation. What is our given, set a budget. What is our given budget for the month, for the week? You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? We had to come in agreement now, because we have other obligation and stuff that we're taking care of, and with our daughter with more activities and stuff like that, we have to reprioritize, right? And we have to come together. This is our given bonus bucket. Once that is exhausted, whether at the beginning of the month or towards wherever it
It.
exhausted, it exhausted. This is our hard set on our giving.
Mm-hmm. Lady Shavina said, leadership wants you to be in, oh Lord, in prayer Wednesday night, Bible study Thursday night, come clean on Saturday. They're okay with members leaving their spouses home all week. That is out of order. Lady Shavina,
You
let me,
understand why there's 50% divorce in the church now. Now you
right.
understand?
That,
These are what Catholics do it, not
and then the complaint comes from most of the male, right?
yeah.
Because most men, they're not gonna most, I said most because I know some men do it, right? But to me, if the church and God is about family, why are we in church 7 days, 6 nights out the week and all day on Sunday?
But that's not using wisdom because
That's not
again, it's
wisdom.
the church can ask me to do anything. They
Right.
are free to ask.
Yes, they
I
are.
have to be the one to check in with my husband.
And said
What
no.
plan I send me and what plan do I said no, I have to get back to you because there's plans. You understand me? And I'm not gonna and overexerting myself, right? Can you delegate to somebody else? You know what I mean? Can we rotate? You get what I'm saying? It's using wisdom. People
It's
can ask
using
you for the
wisdom.
Bible and
Yeah,
anything.
yeah, they can ask you to do
You
whatever.
have to use wisdom and understand the person that if you're a person like me who's like me who loves quality time, okay? And my husband who loves acts of service, okay? And we like physical touch. That means we need our time,
That's
okay?
right.
Because we have secular world that we have to work in. We have business that we got to run. We have a toddler. We have community. So we have to prioritize. And there's time when we can do things together, and then time we can just give them a hard no. I would love to, but I don't have the
You
bandwidth
don't
at
have the
this moment.
capacity.
I
Listen,
will revisit, I'll see what my
th-
schedule look like for the rest of the month, and I will get back to you. It's okay. God is not gonna punish you.
punish
I
you.
promise you.
He's
He's
not.
not gonna
He's
punish
not.
you.
He's
Now
not.
you overexerting yourself, coming home, kicking the cat, screaming at your husband, coming home being ungodly because the devil is flicking in your hair because your spouse is blowing you up and you're getting frustrated. What time you leaving church? Church not over yet. What time you coming home? And now you in the church and oh my husband is tripping. Really
No, he's
now?
not tripping. He needs his time.
Really
Listen,
now? Is that wisdom?
Lady Shavina said, us strong ones know better, but the babies don't know. They don't. And that's why teaching like this is important. That's why we ask you to share this broadcast. So a babe that's, coming to church, just coming to church and is zealous will know not to mess their relationship
Let me
up.
tell you something. What me growing up in Christendom, I work in back office in church. I work in there's no department in church I don't work in. So I see the back, I see the
See the
front,
front?
I see the middle, I see the top. And let me tell you something. If you come in with an open calendar and you raise your hand to everything, trust me, takers have no limit.
They
They
don't.
will they
You
will
have to
over
set the
they will let
boundaries.
you, there you go. You have to set the boundaries because you come in all hot and heavy and feel like you got to be in everything, right? And then you get over burnt out, you get overwhelmed, you start getting tired, and now it start becoming a problem. You don't even want to go to church anymore. You want to hide underneath a rock because you didn't set the boundaries. And it's okay if you didn't set it up front, but it's not okay to continue taking the abuse just to
No,
say I'm
it's
doing
not.
it for God because then it's not for God. You
Mm-mm.
have to get back to the point. If you are the one always raising your hand for everything because you want to be all things to all people, which Paul
You
tells you
can't. You
can't.
can't. You can't.
After a
And you
while, you're
shouldn't.
gonna get burned out,
You're
and your
gonna.
home is gonna suffer. It's, I
it's
promise you.
gonna suffer.
Ask those people who have been through divorce in the church. 50% of the church statistically
Or
said
more.
is divorce or more. You know why? Because they make church their priority,
Right, and not their
not
spouse.
God.
I have another
Church.
question from someone. David said, Minister David said, question. And we've discussed this so many times on this here platform.
I think
And I
David don't
think
want us to stop. He don't want us to
he
stop.
don't want us to stop, but we're gonna stop. Listen, all these questions that you have come Saturday to the Singles Bold and Confident Conference. I'm going to have some answers for you. I promise you. Listen, right? So David's question is, Minister David says, question, how would you feel after getting intimate, then you're told they're on fasting? The mood all messed up. Listen, communication,
Yeah.
communication, communication, communication.
There's a
Communication is
division there.
key. Listen, I want to
David
I want to say this.
division.
I want to say this. Let me tell you
He's
something.
trying to set you up.
Let me say this. I'm gonna say this, right? Unless both the husband and the wife, while
Come in
you're on
agreement
fasting, you come in agreement and say, babe, we're
when
going
to
to be
stop.
fasting. Listen, my first question to my husband is always, how long and what type of fast? Because certain
Mm-hmm.
fasts that we do, then we abstain from sex. And it ain't for no 21 days. I can tell you, it ain't even for 3, right? So, because I needs my medication.
You see, there's
You
two
gotta
different
come in
definitions.
agreement. And let
There
Lady
is
Shavina
fast
says it's biblical.
evangelism,
Yes.
but there is fasting, and there is also
Consecration.
consecration.
Mm-hmm.
Fasting and consecration is two different things.
Two different.
Fasting is two different things than consecration, and I think we already delved into what the
We
difference
did.
is. Consecration is abstaining.
Mm-hmm.
You're only fasting. That has nothing to do with abstaining. So when people said I'm fasting from social media, that's not fasting from, that's abstaining from
From
social
social
media.
media, right.
That's consecration. There's a
Mm-hmm.
difference. When you said you're fasting from sex, that's not fasting from sex. That's abstaining. That's consecration. That's
Wait a
two
minute.
different.
Evangelist Nikki, you said something I think 2 weeks ago that some person use fasting to abstain from intimacy with their
Yeah,
spouse.
avoid
Lord
their spouse.
Jesus. Now listen,
Yep,
listen, don't
avoid
use
their
God.
spouse.
Don't use God like that. Don't do it, because don't do it. Because what happened is, if you use fasting to substitute intimacy with your spouse, then Delilah is waiting. The strange woman is waiting. The
Oh my
strange
guess.
man is waiting. They're waiting out there for your spouse. You keep on abstaining sexually from your spouse. Listen, someone is going to him at an inopportune time, and next thing you know, he's going to turn to porn. He or she is going to turn to porn, and you don't want to introduce those spirits in your spouse to your spouse or in your bedroom.
That's,
You
and
don't
like,
want
to
to
be
do it.
honest, Angeles, that's out of order.
Yeah,
If you have to wait till your spouse, that he or she is out of order. There's no way that's the last person to know that you're on fasting.
and
When
no, it shouldn't be. That should be the first person.
that time we gonna remain fasting, but consecration gonna break.
Listen, hello,
Lord forgive me.
hello,
Listen, we
listen.
gonna fast, but we ain't gonna have consecration. We gonna
Listen,
break that consecration.
that's what I said to my husband in the car. Yes, I said, "Why you didn't tell me? What if I would have touched and rub up on you or something?" He started
But
laughing.
see,
But
that's the thing. There's fasting,
and then there's
and then there's
consecration. Listen, I
consecration.
don't know what
Consecration is abstaining.
I don't know what we
That's
do,
it.
because, but no, on
So
this
don't be
serious, on this
now.
serious, let me tell y'all. Let me tell y'all. You should with no married couple that is in the kingdom of God should use fasting as a weapon not to give their spouse sex. Use it as a tool to lock shot, as they say in the Caribbean. Listen, you should not do that. Listen, let me tell you something. When you close shop and use fasting, yes. We Lady Dorothy, we do record the sessions. You can go on YouTube, and right here on Facebook we have them. You can go back in the archives and put it up, right? Minister David said he rests his case. You should listen, Lord Jesus.
Knowing the type of person I am, because like every day I have to repent. Every day I have to ask for forgiveness. There is no way I'm living with my spouse. And when I'm ready to be intimate, he gonna let me know he's on fasting. I
No,
don't know what
no,
fast.
I'm
I want
taking it.
a
I'm
ready break.
taking it. I'm
Break. There's
taking
no
it. I'm taking it.
because that's what we have to do. Lord forgive us,
I'm
but there's
taking it.
something that we have. Listen, we're still human, guys. We are human, and I'm being
Listen,
real with you.
no. I'm
If
glad
I'm
my
the
husband is
last
not like
person
that.
to know,
No,
not have Lord forgive me because
I'm
there's
taking it.
no way.
Now
I am
listen,
not that person.
let
I
me
am not
backtrack.
trying.
Let me backtrack. Let me backtrack because I said I'm taking it. I don't want any spouse, male or female, to think that it's right to rape their spouse, right? So let me backtrack that. I know how my husband and I know how our relationship is, and so I'm just saying it about my husband. If I'm the last to know, I'm like, babe, okay, well, oh, you're not fasting no more, right? But that's my
You go fast,
relationship.
but we gonna break separation in the name
We
of
gonna
Jesus.
break it, and this is why communication is important. Now, this is one thing I want to say, and we definitely got to do this topic right now for the person who may use fasting as a tool not to be intimate with their spouse. Now, is it is are you giving your spouse intimacy or you just want the sex? Now, we've discussed this on here because Evangelist Nikki said for her
There is
the
beautiful
destination, you
sex.
got to start from the journey. You got to start from the beginning of the ride. You can't just get to the destination. So if there's no intimacy, if there's no prelude, if there's no prelude leading up to the destination, then that's not an excuse to use fasting. But you can't just come and say, all right, let's go. Are you giving intimacy? Or are you or is your wife turned on? Is your spouse turned on by you? You understand what I'm saying? So it's a lot of things. I'm not giving, don't get me wrong, I'm not giving an excuse for any spouse to use fasting as a means of not to be intimate with your spouse, because it's just wrong, right? But what I'm saying is, it making love is a journey, honey. It starts early in the morning and till you get to the bedroom that night, or depending on your work schedule, it's a leading up to. It's a leading. Lady Millicent
Right.
said we're killing her.
You have to know the type of spouse you're
You
with
have
and know
to.
what's work for them. Because, like I said, there is time, there is beautiful sex, and there
And
is time, ladies,
dutiful,
that you gotta do
duty,
dutiful sex.
and both should be
Dutiful.
good,
We both gonna win at the end, but there's time, you know what
right?
I mean? But it will be beautiful,
You know what I
and
want
we
to
gotta
say?
be real,
You know what
but
I want
there's
to say?
time.
You know what I want to say? This is what I want to say, right? This is what I say. Let's not compromise when it comes to sex, because then one person win
Yeah.
and one
Either
person
you gonna
lose.
make it beauty or
Let
beautiful, but
let's
we gotta make it happen.
collaborate. Let's collaborate. Okay, babe, I'm going on fasting, so come take care of me. Let's make this work, because I'm gonna go on fasting. So you both win. You get to do your fasting,
Yes,
and your spouse
yes.
get what they want. You can't defraud your husband. You can't defraud your spouse, right? Listen, Millicent said her husband don't know time off. Listen, I I'm with your
That's my
husband.
type of
Oh,
guy.
that's my type of man, honey. Right?
That's my type of guy.
David says, "Hurry up! I have prayer meeting, or I have to go on the prayer." Bye, David. Go on the prayer lines, right? Listen, we have surpassed our time, because normally
No,
we're
with all
over
fun and
here.
time, all fun aside, evangelist. And I
Yeah.
want, if you don't mind, just probably catching piece and piece of it. And I know we're saying it jokingly because we have all been there,
Mm-hmm.
and we can laugh at it now because we
Mm-hmm.
once were there. So now
Yes.
that we have overcome, what we're saying, you got to know your person.
You gotta
You
know
got to
your
know
partner.
how said no, and it's no. You got
Mm-hmm.
to know when it's a no, it's a no. There's no, babe, and there is a real, there's no. I'm
Right.
learning that there's between the two, but
There's a difference with the nose. There's a difference with the nose,
it
definitely.
takes you knowing your
Yeah.
spouse. knowing what's going on with.
I think that's the topic we need to do next week. How well do you know your spouse? I think we need
Yes.
that because a
Yeah.
lot of times you don't really know the man or the woman that you're married to.
Right.
Survivor Sandra, hi lady Sandra, she said, "And you're so nice." Yes, it's nice all the time. Listen, because listen, we're talking about the realities of marriage. We're talking about the realities of marriage, and especially kingdom marriage, where some person demonize sex. Listen, sex is a beautiful thing when it's done with the
Yeah,
confines
and
of your home. It's
we
beautiful.
subsidize, other people subsidize intimacy
Right.
because they haven't dealt with their trauma
Hmm.
with church
With
duties.
church duties.
They
Yeah, we don't play
they
that.
use, right. They try to avoid, they use it as a avoid mechanism, right? Because we spoke about avoidancy and many topics before.
Hmm.
It's a mechanism a lot of people use to avoid their spouse from being intimate.
Intimate.
So
Yeah.
they get fulfilled the more they overexert themselves in church duty. So when they come home now, they already give all the intimacy to church duties because some people, they like the praise that they get.
Right.
They like to hear the thank you and all of
Hmm.
that, but they don't communicate to their spouse. That's what they so
Listen,
desire.
listen, and nothing like hearing your spouse say, "Thanks, babe," after you done give that beautiful thing, right? Listen, I'm not even going to repeat what Minister David said. Go to prayer meeting. Lady Millicent said, yeah, take God bypass. No, we're not going to use God to bypass. Lady Millicent said,
Right.
as her husband look at her, is the bed that. Listen, let's do something, ladies. Thank God your husband is still attracted to you and want
Desires. Yeah,
you.
that's
And
it.
want
That's it.
you. Be grateful on that. Listen, I don't want my husband to want nobody but me, honey. When my husband look at me, I want him to be like, you know? But listen, ladies, gentlemen, we gotta go. We gotta go because I got another meeting that
Yes,
I
we
gotta
way
get on.
over our
Let me
time.
tell you something. We went way over, but listen, I want you to, if you have not yet joined our Thursday night community, my God, last week Thursday was fire, fire, fire. Now this week I'm going to be teaching on the spirit of Tamar. Lord, why am I being attracted to the same type of man, same type of woman? The spirit of Tamar. You don't want to miss it this Thursday on Before You Say I Do. Also on this weekend at KBI 6150 West Oakland Park Boulevard. We're kicking it off with a concert on Friday night, Bold Confident Singles Conference. Listen, $30 on Friday night and on Saturday morning. Yours truly will be the keynote speaker for Bold and Confidence Single Seminar. Listen, if you're in the South Florida area, I want y'all to beat me there. Come sit next to me. Come sit next to me or close to me as you possibly can. We're having a conference this weekend. It's $60 is the registration fee. If you don't have it, listen, still come. Come, we'll work out the payments another time. But there's a word in the house for singles. Maybe you're married, but you're still single, married and lonely, married and single. Come, there's a word for you. You're single, dating, courting. Come, we have a word for you. Amen.
Before I go, I want to wrap this up so we don't forget next time. Somebody just asked me what's the difference between fasting and consecration. I think we discussed it
We
but fast.
discussed it at the beginning, and we've discussed this. We've discussed this topic so many times that listen, we'll take
We
another day to discuss it.
yes, go back and check the
Go back and watch
replays.
the replay. Matter of fact, go on YouTube and subscribe to Marcia Baker Ministries channel, and you will see the
Yes,
plethora of listen, and
yes.
everything is labeled so you know what you're watching. All right. And listen, we love you. We thank you. We gotta go. We gotta go. But listen, join us again next Monday night. If you're just joining us now, just wait till the session ends and rewatch it. Share it, like it, subscribe to Marcia YouTube channel, Marcia Baker. We're trying to get to 500. Can I get 500 subscribers? Have a good night. Lady Sandra,
And you
big up
guys,
yourself.
we're counting.
Big up yourself, Lady Sandra. You know I love you every time. Every time. Big up yourself, y'all. Y'all, I love y'all. Thank you for coming. Listen, have a God bless evening. Listen, go ahead and give that man, that woman some. Go get busy. Put them
Yeah,
first, right?
I can't with her. She
Be
keep it real.
blessed.
Yeah, but she keep it 100, guys. She gonna
That's
keep it
right.
100.
Have a nice evening. Love you.